Hey guys, it's Carla Wiesinger from carlawiesinger.com, and today I have something really exciting for you. So instead of my monthly interviews, I've got a video contribution from Libby from Productive Dietitian, and she's going to be sharing 5 of her most amazing productivity tips with you. So I know from my own experience of working by myself, it can be so difficult to stay motivated, to stay on track, and to get things done. So I'm really excited to share these with you. Libby is the productivity queen and there's so much to learn from her. Thank you so much for this contribution, and I hope you guys enjoy the video.
Hey everyone, I'm Libby Rothschild, registered dietitian. You can find me on Instagram at Productive Dietitian and YouTube at Libby Rothschild. Today I want to talk about the benefits of productivity, resources, and finally, systems. People often confuse what productivity means. People assume productivity means getting more things done, but that's wrong. Productivity means getting the important things done consistently. My philosophy is that systems are more important than goals. We want to optimize our time and efforts. But how? I'm going to explain. I want to explain why productivity is important to me and how I came about to discussing it as in-depth as I am today. I currently work as a registered dietitian, and my previous position for over a decade was a certified personal trainer. As a certified personal trainer, I worked for myself and for Equinox Gym. Working between both a gym and independently, it was very imperative that I had a good sense of time and task management, because when you work on an hourly rate as a contractor, it's really important to fit all the pieces together. Learning this style and maintaining and growing a business of that nature has really helped me harness my skills and optimize my time so I can get more important things done more efficiently. Currently, with my role as a registered dietitian, I optimize productivity by really extending my role out to the community. So I work as an outpatient registered dietitian, a 9-to-5 job, but I additionally work overtime to get experience working in another clinic with a different set of providers and a different team. And I also educate within my hospital. And what that means is I show up early to work and I teach morning lecture most months throughout the academic year for both medical students, dental residents, and pediatric residents. Now, when I talk about optimizing productivity, I'm discussing how I can manage teaching lectures, working a full-time job, working overtime, and I also additionally am a consultant for a restaurant, and I develop courses here on Instagram, as well as helping other healthcare professionals send positive, consistent, evidence-based messages about nutritional science. What are the benefits and resources of productivity? Some of the benefits include a clear mind, tranquility, focus, stress management, and finally, balance. Some of my favorite resources include David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. I've listened to it on audio form at least 6 times. I also like the book Essentialism, and there are a few podcasts I recommend. The 3 podcasts that I recommend are Productive Woman, Productivius, and finally, Entrepreneur on Fire. So we went over the definition, the benefits, and resources. So now, how can we actually create those systems and checks and balances to optimize our productivity? Today, I want to explain 5 systems that help me optimize my productivity and get more important things done consistently. Number 1, batch tasking. Number 2, Pomodoro technique. Number 3, most important tasks. And 4 and 5 will be calendar part 1 and part 2. First, I want to start with batch tasking. An example of this system and applying this approach to your life could include think in one day how many tasks that you have to get done. Perhaps you have to respond to emails, you have to make lists or do steps to a project. Additionally, you have to return phone calls and maybe follow up with some paperwork. The way our brain functions, we want to batch like tasks together. So instead of checking our email incessantly throughout the day, if we schedule certain time blocks to respond to emails, to follow up with paperwork, and do like-minded projects and tasks, that's really going to help our brain mentally and us physically increase our output and get more stuff done. Number 2, Pomodoro technique. Ideally, you would set a certain amount of time that you're going to accomplish some type of task. For example, it could be researching, writing notes, maybe something at work, an objective that you have to fulfill based on a larger goal. So for me, I like to set myself up with a time frame. For example, I might do work for a certain task for 30 or 45 minutes and then allow myself a break. What this does is mentally allows me to increase my output for said task, allow myself to recover with a break, and then again refocus on what else I can include to accomplish my productivity goals for that day. Pomodoro works very effectively without interruptions. So over the weekend at home on Saturdays, I can go through my mail and paperwork and take care of specific tasks at home in a certain time frame that I've set out. And that works really well, but what if you want to apply this concept at work and you get interrupted often? Remember that these systems are ideas, and you have to adopt and adapt these ideas to fit in with your lifestyle. For example, when I'm at work, I'm interrupted incessantly, so maybe this technique wouldn't work so effectively at my job, therefore I'd have to modify this style to suit my needs. One of my favorite systems is MIT. Most important tasks. What this means is in one day, or let's say period of time, if you're projecting to work in a certain period of time, most of us want to write a list of about 12 plus things to do. But the reality is in a certain time frame, our brain and our mind can only accomplish a certain amount of tasks, and research shows that number is 3. So a task wouldn't be a project. We don't do a project. That's not a task. We do the associated tasks and steps to get to the project. So most important tasks of the day need to be trimmed down. For example, I work as a registered dietitian, so I wouldn't see patients and write their notes for the patients as one task. One task would be see patients. Task number 2 would be write associated notes for patients. And task 3 might be read research projects and studies and highlight them. That's it. Based on personal experience and from what I read in the research, when we try to accomplish more than 3 tasks in a day, either nothing gets done efficiently or we get too drained. The sweet spot is really 3 and making sure that we're breaking up those tasks efficiently. I challenge you guys to try that out, write out a few most important tasks, no more than 3 in a day, and see how that goes. The last 2 systems I wanted to discuss are calendar systems. Some of us like to write it on paper, some of us keep it electronic, but the number one thing that I recommend is keeping a calendar. Now when it comes to calendar, we have 2 aspects. We have tasks and events. A task would be call this person or follow up with this email, where an event might be clock in at work or attend an appointment or a meeting, etc. So some folks like to separate task and event systems, so they would use a different app or just a different system or technique, where other folks like myself include tasks and events in the same home. For years I've strategized, should I do that differently? Should I put my tasks and my events in the same home? The answer to separating tasks and events is really just dependent on the person. For me right now, I keep them together, and maybe down the line I'll separate them, but what's important is to find a system that works for you. And what's most important is to start implementing some type of strategy to see what works for you, and then take it from there. My other tip with the calendar is to create reoccurring events. For example, if you have an event like work, you might want to put that in your calendar for the time and for the day, and then reoccurring. So when you look on your calendar, you can see what you have coming up. You can denote holidays, events, birthdays, conferences, vacations, etc. When you're referencing something down the line and you create a reoccurring event 6 months out, a year out, etc., you have a more organized way of looking at your future. For me, having a color-coded calendar with reoccurring events really helps me stay on track. Additionally, when it comes to social events, I like to send out email confirmations, and I do this through my Google Calendar. I also like to look at it on my app. I like to review my week in a visual form where I can see the blocks of time that I have projected to spend, and then I can look back and see how did I actually carry out those events. Were they accomplished? Did I get my tasks done? And when I look at the visual display, when I see how it's color-coded, it can help me determine how to better spend my output and time more efficiently for the following week. What productivity tips do you guys have? What works best for you?